So let's go to the next page there. And the first category, what we're going to look at are inflammatory markers. So you see green, you
Mm-hmm.
see yellow, and you see red results. So each one of these are particular genetic genes. And a green reading means we had no clinical abnormality within that gene. Red means it was heterozygous, meaning one in the pair have a variant or an error. And
Oh,
when it's
wow.
red, it means that both in the pair have an error or a variant. So that just means that it's not coded the way it's intended to be, and we have a variant of that or an error of that gene. Okay? So we look at inflammatory markers because they have everything to do with our health, right? If
Mm-hmm.
there's inflammation within your body, eventually we're going to wind up with conditions or disease states. So if we know this to begin with, we can really prevent so much from happening. So that first gene, C3. So this is essential for the immune response. This kind of kicks everything off. And when we see a polymorphism here, meaning an error, mutation, or a polymorphism, we see a greater susceptibility to asthma, and we see other inflammatory disorders. And you have a homozygous result. So both of those genes have to do with a potential problem that could happen there.
And is that is asthma specifically related to that one, or is that just an example of like an inflammatory?
It's specific, and it can be others.
Okay.
Okay. Have either of those things ever been an issue for you, Nick?
So I don't have asthma. I would say I do get ironically, I do get like chest inflammation pretty regularly. Like I have it right now, and I'm not sick. I had a cold maybe 6 weeks ago, but yeah, I'll get like that. I do think I see on the right, I do have sort of like this, I'm trying to eat less processed foods and eat more like meats and vegetables and like fresh food and stuff like that, because I'm coming to terms with my age, which is 39, as you can see up there. And like, I want to start taking care of myself now.
Absolutely.
So yeah. So that's interesting to see that.
Yeah. And then the next one, CD14. So this is the initiator of the whole immune response for your body. And it's necessary for potential pathogens that we have this working properly, and can make us, again, more susceptible to asthma or any other kind of allergen-mediated inflammatory responses. So, and that's a homozygous result. So it would make sense with the chest stuff that you're talking about.
You know, this time of year in the winter, someone told me what this was one time. I don't really remember, but like I do kind of feel like I get winter allergies, not summer allergies.
Yeah.
So I don't know if that's something.
Sure. No, an inflammatory response, definitely. Yeah. And then that IL-5 or interleukin-5, we have a heterozygous, so one in the pair is affected. This can make you more susceptible to certain viral infections and an increased aggression of an inflammatory response.
Okay.
So if people have a cold, if people have a virus, does it usually affect you of people that you're around, or do you leave like, no, dodge that?
So I used to get everything everyone around me had, but since I've been supplementing, especially during COVID, I have not. I think I had COVID twice, but I was like the last person I know to get it, and I didn't get it very bad. The second time I was testing negative in like 4 days, but I've really focused on like getting my vitamins in order and again, starting to eat better and, exercise regularly, stuff like that, to try and, again, like I didn't obviously know these results, but to try and like not be sick, because I used to get sick all the time. And I felt like I always got like the worst symptoms of it.
That's exactly why. So then we look at IL-4, interleukin-4. We have normal risk, no problems, no clinical abnormality. Then IL-13, interleukin-13, we have a heterozygous result. So this can create an increase in the risk of more severe inflammatory responses to any kind of allergens, kind of the stuff that just someone else is exposed to it, there might be some coughing, there might be some lung stuff going on, but then they get over it. An intense response is like, whoa, like what, what's going on here? And it just doesn't leave us.
Yeah. Yeah. So that's like being sick longer almost if you do catch something. Yeah.
That response just kind of takes off and doesn't, when your body is being invaded by a pathogen, the army cells come in and they say, okay, we've got to fight. But then they also have to know it's time to retreat.
To stop, yeah.
And if you're in this spiral, your body is just always ready to fight. And that's how we wind up autoimmune diseases, conditions, things like that, because your body's always responding to an invader and the invader's not there anymore.
Okay.
Okay.
Spirals
out of control. Then that IL-23R, homozygous result. So this has to do with Crohn's disease. So that kind of, what we were talking about earlier before, not meaning that you're going to have Crohn's disease, but it's linked to that. And then the STAT4, we have no clinical abnormality. The IL-6 or interleukin-6, we have.
So the ones that are green, like let's do the STAT4. What would be something that's a benefit to being green there? Like what is not happening that would be happening if I was yellow or red?
Okay, so we would look at specific inflammatory diseases or responses like lupus, like rheumatoid arthritis.
Which runs in my family.
Okay, there you go.
Okay, yeah. Interesting.
Yeah. Okay, then the TNF, no clinical abnormality, tumor necrosis factor, so you're good to go there. But if we had a polymorphism, we could see a more severe pro-inflammatory response to what's happening in your body, and that would require some type of inflammatory control. So you think about the relationship between different kinds of cancers and tumors. If we're always in this spiral of inflammation, that has a lot to do with down the road different types of cancers developing. So,
and maybe you can comment on this. I've noticed recently, because I follow a lot of health influencers, a lot of doctors on social media. I listen to a lot of podcasts with doctors and specialists, and inflammation is a topic that seems to really have taken off recently, where people are actually in public talking about the role of inflammation in disease. So for the common person who doesn't proactively go learn, what can inflammation in general do to your body long term?
Great question. So cancers, cardiovascular disease, even diabetes. So 3 big killers of people, top of the list kind of things. And had I said that to somebody 15 years ago, they'd be like, yeah, I don't think so. Or else there would be a drug out there for it. It's like now people have access to information and they're kind of sifting through the, what's going on. And it's a big factor in those 3 diseases. Yeah. People are even now describing, I love this term, inflammation having to do with aging, inflammaging, because it is going to shorten our telomeres, which are the part that allow us to extend our lives. We can measure that on a DNA strand. And knowing that it's shortening our life, well, those are 3 really big diseases of what shortens people's lives, right? So we think cancers, we think cardiovascular, even diabetes, and bringing in the diabetes part to this. And as we go through it, it's going to make more sense. We now know that the nervous system, the endocrine system, and the immunological system all actually act as a super system. They're not all independent, right? And that's how we used to think of everything. Why? Because we want you take this for this, take this for this. And then it started like, whoa, this is really a problem.
Well, then take this because this and this interact with each other. You don't,
bingo, right? And I'm not anti-pharmaceutical. I'll put that out there now.
Me neither.
What I am is go the conservative route first, because we're not going to have a negative side effect to that.
Yeah.
And doesn't it make sense? There's not a single cell in your body made up of a pharmaceutical. Yet that becomes the answer to everything. It's like, just think about that statement. It's like, whoa, what? Yeah, you're right? So why would we take something that has nothing to do with the cell we're trying to change and have react differently as our first line of defense? If we've done everything conservatively and we're still not there, yes, let's go for it. The purpose of pharmaceuticals was to save lives, but unfortunately, we abuse them.
Thank you for listening to this clip from the full episode of Eyes Wide Open. Please like and subscribe for daily clips and new episodes that drop every Tuesday. I appreciate you.